The stars had always whispered back. For years, humans sent signals into space radio waves, messages, hopes. They sent music, greetings, even simple math. Sometimes they got strange signals back, a rhythm, a pulse, a pattern in the noise. Then, one day the stars went quiet, all of them, not just one system, not just one direction, all deep space signals stopped. Lena Cross sat in a dark lab under New Chicago, her eyes staring at 3 empty screens. She was a young tech engineer, just 22, working for the International Space Listening Program. Everyone called it ISLP, but Lena called it the Ear of Earth. For 10 years, the ear listened. It had heard strange radio bursts from galaxies far away. It heard whispering stars, cosmic storms, even the sound of 2 black holes colliding. Now, for the first time in human history, the universe had nothing to say. Just silence. Lena tapped her screen again. The system worked fine. Power was good. Antennas were clean. She ran a signal test at nothing. She tried the backup satellite, the old Russian one from 2050. Still nothing. She frowned. That's not possible, she said to herself. She stood up and ran to the data room. Dozens of screens blinked with graphs and sound waves. Most of them were flat. A few buzzed quietly, but it was just Earth's own chatter. Satellites, radio, and internet noise. The silence beyond Earth was total, pure, controlled. At that same moment, across the planet, scientists noticed it too. In Japan, Professor Ito stared at his telescope data in shock. No signal from Zeta Line. It was always strong, now nothing. In France, Dr. Marie Louvel dropped her coffee as she saw her screen flatline. Where is the feedback? Where is the galaxy hum? In Nigeria, a young space student named Chika said softly, "It's like the stars turned off." Across the world, the same questions rose. Where did the signals go? Why did the stars stop speaking? Who had the power to do this? Back in New Chicago, Lena's phone buzzed. It was an emergency group call with ISLP global staff. The lead scientist, Dr. Kellen, looked pale on the screen. "This is not equipment." "Failure," he said. "Every satellite, every listening station, same result. Deep space signals have vanished. Completely." "Is it a black hole effect?" someone asked. "Impossible," Kellen said. "Black holes don't cover the whole sky. This is artificial." Silence fell across the call. Then Lena spoke up. "What if someone turned them off?" Dr. Kellen looked at her. "What do you mean?" "I mean," Lena said, her voice shaking a little, "what if something put up a barrier? A wall. Not around us, but around everything else." The others didn't speak. Then Dr. Kellen said, "We need proof." Lena didn't wait. She ran back to her personal lab. She had her own project unauthorized. She'd been secretly repairing an old satellite called Echo 7. It was retired after a solar storm, but Lena fixed it. She never told anyone. Now she needed it. She opened the Echo 7 channel. It was slow, glitchy, but alive. Come on," she whispered, typing fast. The satellite responded. It blinked into orbit view and tried to reach out. It sent a signal. Nothing returned. So she did something risky. She pushed it farther. She overloaded the satellite's tiny engine. Giving it one last push. It rose higher, out of standard Earth orbit. It floated beyond the moon. And then something strange happened. The satellite hit something. Not metal, not rock, not gas. It was invisible, but Echo 7 bounced slightly. Its signal scrambled, like it had struck a force field. Lena's heart pounded. What the hell? She rerouted Echo 7's camera. What she saw wasn't space. It was static, a thick curtain of moving patterns. Like noise designed to look natural, but it wasn't natural. It was built, a signal wall. It covered Earth. Like a shell, reaching far into space. A digital cloak. No signals in, No signals out. Lena gasped. Oh my God. Someone's jamming the sky. She saved the footage and sent it to Dr. Kellen. She barely hit send when her lab lights flickered. Her screen turned black dot, then a single message appeared. White text. Simple font. You are not alone, but you were not invited. Then it vanished at the same time. Satellites around the world began to glitch. Military systems went on alert. The United Nations called an emergency meeting. NASA scrambled jets, but no one knew what to shoot at. There was nothing visible in the sky, only silence. That night, Lena couldn't sleep. She stared at her screen, replaying the Echo 7 footage again and again. The signal wall was real. But who built it? Why now? She checked the data logs again. Then she saw something, a pulse, hidden under the static, faint, like a whisper. She ran it through a decoder. The message was weak, broken, alien symbols, but one part. Translated. Only one line. They are coming. Don't trust the silence. Lena's hands trembled. She leaned back in her chair, eyes wide. It wasn't just silence. It was a warning. Across the earth. The public didn't know yet, but governments were already panicking. Some believed it was a cosmic accident. Some thought it was war. Others feared invasion. But Lena knew the truth now. The silence was made. Someone had tried to cut Earth off from the rest of the universe, like putting a lid on a boiling pot. But why? To protect Earth? To trap it? Or to prepare it for something worse? The next day, news leaked online. A post on an anonymous space forum read, "The universe is not quiet. We've been locked out." Or locked in. People thought it was fake. A hoax. But then another user posted images, low-res screenshots of a strange signal barrier. Lena recognized them. They were from Echo-7. Someone had hacked her system. The secret was out, and people were afraid. All over Earth, people stared at the sky, but it didn't answer. No stars blinked. No galaxies. OUMNED. Only quiet. Cold and deep. And somewhere beyond that silence, something moved. At ISLP headquarters, Lena stood with Dr. Kellen. He looked at the data again. The wall surrounds us fully. There's no exit yet. Can we break through it? She asked. Maybe, he said. But maybe it's not about escape. What then? He looked up slowly. Maybe it's a countdown. Outside, the sky remained still, but the ear of Earth had heard enough, and the fury of humanity was beginning to rise. The world was no longer the same. For centuries, people believed space was endless, free, silent by nature. But now they knew. Silence wasn't real. It was placed. A signal wall covered Earth like a digital net, blocking every message to and from the stars. No one knew why it was there. No one knew who built it. But everyone knew one thing. Humanity had been cut off. Lena Cross stood on the roof of ISLP headquarters in New Chicago. She looked up at the stars. They were still shining, but they weren't speaking. Behind her, Dr. Kellen walked out, holding a tablet. "The president wants answers," he said. "So do 100 other governments." Lena didn't turn around. "They won't like the answers," she said softly. Kellen sat beside her on a bench. "Echo 7 is gone." "Burned out," he said. "I figured," Lena replied. But before it failed, the last image it sent. Kellen showed her the screen. It showed the same thing Lena saw before, the invisible wall. But now, zoomed in, there was movement. Patterns. Like thousands of small machines, crawling, building, adjusting the wall. They looked like tiny spiders of light, working in perfect silence. "It's alive," Lena said. Kellen nodded. "And it's watching us." Meanwhile, across the planet, the news had leaked. People called it the Skylock. Conspiracy theories exploded online. Was it aliens? Was it the government? Was it a weapon? In Moscow, a hacker group claimed they found old files hidden inside Soviet archives. They mentioned a name, VARNOK, in Antarctica. A scientist dug up a satellite crash from 1978. The parts didn't match any Earth design. All signs pointed to one thing. We were not alone. And we were being watched for a long time. Inside ISLP, Lena joined a secure meeting with international scientists. Everyone looked tired, scared. Dr. Kellen opened the session. We believe the wall is not natural, he said. It's placed with precision. And it blocks only deep space communication, not local. Which means, Lena added, someone wants us blind, deaf, alone. A man from the UK raised a question. Could it be for our protection? Like a cage for a dangerous animal? No, said Kellen. Cages don't protect the animal. They protect others from it. Then a voice spoke up from Geneva. Dr. Zoya Malik, head of alien contact theory. What if the Varnok are real? She said, there are old records, unconfirmed encounters. Ships vanishing near Jupiter. Static storms. Even myths in ancient cultures about sky gods who left. Left where? Someone asked. Left us, she said. What if they watched us grow and then decided to stop us? Lena felt a chill. What would make them do that? She asked. Zoya paused. Fear. Everyone went silent. Kellen looked at Lena. You said Echo 7 received a whisper, a message. She nodded. They are coming. Don't trust the silence, she repeated. Maybe it wasn't from the Varnok, Zoya said. Then who? Lena asked. Maybe someone warning us about the Varnok. That idea changed everything. Maybe the wall wasn't just a prison. Maybe it was a battlefield. And Earth was stuck in the middle. Later that night, Lena returned to her lab. She opened a file. It was a digital map she created using all satellite data, old and new. She looked at the pattern of the wall. It wasn't just a circle. It had structure. Corners. Design. Lena ran a shape recognition scan. A symbol emerged. It wasn't random. It matched something. She dug into the ISLP archives, searching. Old intercepted signals. One from 2043 stood out. It was dismissed at the time as noise, but now it matched the wall's pattern exactly. A symbol made of 3 lines and a spiral. Lena typed the name she remembered. Varnok, and the system responded. Varnok presence confirmed. Quarantine active. Perimeter enforced. Her hands froze. The wall was a quarantine, and Earth was inside it. At the same time, the military began testing. They launched a probe at full speed toward the wall. At 30,000 kilometers an hour. It hit something invisible. It didn't bounce. It disappeared, like a drop in a black ocean. No signal returned. Inside ISLP, the tension grew. Lena paced in front of Kellen. We can't just wait, she said. We need to break through it, Kellen sighed. And go where? Lena stared at him. Out there. Beyond the wall. Find the ones who warned us. We don't even have a ship fast enough. She smiled. Not yet. The next day, Lena contacted someone from her past. A rogue pilot, ex-military, known for breaking rules. His name was Jacques Varan. He lived off the grid. Near the Andes, ran a junkyard of old space tech. When she called, he laughed. I knew one day you'd ask me to fly into hell. I'm not asking you to fly into hell, she said. Just through a wall built by aliens. Oh, much better, he replied. Jacques had something rare, a prototype. Ship. Old. Rusted. But powerful. The Orion blade. Faster than any legal craft. It had one feature no other ship had: a jump core, illegal and unstable, but perfect for breaking through something unknown. Jax and Lena met secretly in Argentina. They fueled the Orion blade. Planned the jump. There was no guarantee it would survive, but they had no choice. Before launch, Lena uploaded one last message to ISLP. If we don't make it back, tell the world the silence isn't empty. It's full of secrets. Then they launched. The Orion blade rose into the sky. faster than military. Radar could follow. Reach the edge of the wall in 2 hours. Lena. Watch the monitors. The wall shimmered like air over fire. Not solid. Not energy. Something. Between. Jocks looked at her. You sure about this? She nodded. He smiled. Then let's knock. The ship hit the wall at full speed. For a moment, everything went white. Lena screamed. The ship shook like it would tear apart. And then it passed through. Silence. Darkness. And then a view they never expected. Not space. But a graveyard. Thousands of broken ships floated beyond the wall. Alien crafts, some ancient, some new, all destroyed. Frozen in time. Drifting. Lena gasped. Oh my God, they were trying to come in. Jock scanned. No, look at the angles. They weren't coming in. They were trying to leave. Something terrible was happening. Beyond the wall, an Earth had just stepped into it. A signal flashed on their screen, an automated message. Alien language, but part of it was in English, translated by someone or something. You pass the gate, you carry the signal. Now they will find you. Jax looked at Lena. That doesn't sound good. The screen blinked again. A shape appeared. A massive ship. Bigger than anything they had ever seen. It turned slowly toward the Orion blade. Its core glowed red. And then it spoke. A deep metallic voice echoed in their speakers. Earth, humanity, we heard your rage. Now show us your fury. Lena stared ahead. No fear in her eyes now, only fire. The ship was massive. Dark, ancient, alive. It floated in the silent zone beyond the wall, turning slowly like a beast waking from a deep sleep. Its hull was covered in scars, burn marks, broken panels, strange glowing veins. And now, it had found them. Inside the Orion blade, Lena Cross and Jax Veron sat frozen. The alien ship had just spoken. Earth, humanity, we heard your rage. Now show us your fury. What does that mean? Jax asked, eyes wide. Lena stared at the screen. I don't know. The alien vessel didn't fire. It just hovered, watching them. Jax whispered. Is this the Varnuk? Lena shook her head. Maybe, or maybe something worse. They waited. A new signal appeared. A countdown. 300, 299, 298. Double quotes. What is that? Jax asked. Could be a timer or a test, Lena said. It's waiting for us to act. To do what? Lena stood up. Her voice was calm but focused. To prove who we are. Back on Earth, ISLP headquarters lost contact with the Orion blade. Lena's signal had vanished the moment they passed through the wall, but not before she uploaded one final image. A blurry screenshot of the graveyard of broken ships beyond. The wall. It caused chaos. News agencies tried to hide it, but the public saw it. People began to panic. Some believed war was coming. Some believed Earth had been abandoned. But a few wanted to fight. The countdown continued on the Orion blades. Screen. 250. 249. Lena scanned the alien ship again. It's not charging weapons, she said. Then what's the countdown for? She looked closer. Wait, the energy pulse isn't directed at us. It's going inward. Inward? It's counting down to itself. Jax frowned. You mean, it's going to self-destruct? Lena didn't answer. She typed quickly, sending a short-range scan toward the alien ship. Suddenly, their speakers clicked again. The voice returned. You are not like the others. The others begged, you ask. The others ran, you fly. Lena whispered. It's watching us like a test. Then the ship did something unexpected. It opened. A small hatch near the center lit up, a soft green glow. An invitation. Jax looked at Lena. You're not thinking of going in there, are you? She was already strapping in. We didn't come this far to turn back. The Orion blade moved toward the hatch. It passed through a shimmering field like liquid glass. Inside was a docking bay, but not like human ones. It felt like a cave inside a machine. Walls pulsed like organs. The floor had no gravity. Lena and Jocks floated out in suits. They moved slowly through dark tunnels. Symbols glowed on the walls. Alien language, but strangely beautiful. And ahead, a chamber. Inside, a throne-like chair, empty. In front of it, a control panel. Lena moved toward it. She placed her hand on it. Without thinking, the panel lit up. And suddenly, her mind exploded with images. She saw flashes, a planet burning, ships falling. A machine huge locking around a sun. A race with many faces, running, hiding, screaming, and then Earth. Our planet shone like a puzzle piece in a bigger war. She pulled her hand back, gasping for air. Jax grabbed her. Are you okay? She nodded slowly. It's a memory, from the ship, from its creator. This ship is a warning. The countdown hit 100. Then the voice returned. You see the fire. You hear the silence. Do you still burn? Lena stood tall. She replied out loud. We are not afraid. We are not silent. Suddenly the walls shifted. A door opened behind them. Inside a pod, small, glowing, pulsing with light. It's alive, Jock said. Lena stepped closer. The pod had symbols carved into it. She touched it gently. A voice different this time. Softer, female. This is the spark. Take it home. Wake the fire. The pod floated into her hands. It was light, warm. What is it? Jocks asked. Lena looked at it closely. I think it's a signal core, a seed from a lost race. A weapon? No, a message. Suddenly, the countdown reached 0. And instead of exploding, the alien ship began to fade. Bit by bit, its body turned to dust like it had finished its mission. In minutes, it was gone. All that remained was the pod. And silence. Lena and Jocks rushed back to the Orion blade. They escaped the debris field and flew upward. The wall was still there, but something had changed. A new crack, barely visible but real. Lena smiled. We opened something. As they re-entered Earth's wall zone, their ship glitched but made it through. ISLP control cheered as the Orion blade returned on radar. Lena's voice came over the comms. This is Lena Cross. We're back, and we brought something back. On Earth, governments demanded answers. ISLP took the pod to a secret lab. Lena stayed with it every day. It didn't speak again, but it pulsed like a heartbeat. One night, alone, Lena placed her hand on it again. A new vision came. This time, she saw Earth from above. And a shadow behind it. A massive shape, hidden behind the silence. Watching. And then, one final word appeared in her mind. 10. She gasped. It wasn't over. It had begun. The next day, Lena called an emergency meeting. We triggered something, she told the team. The countdown is real, but it's not from the ship. It's from them, the Varnak? Someone asked. Lena nodded. They're coming. Kellen looked pale. How long do we have? She looked down. The number in my vision was 10. I think we have 10 days. The room went silent. Lena held the pod tightly. The silence wasn't safety anymore. It was a fuse, and Earth had just lit it. The world had grown tense. Ever since the Orion blade's daring journey through the wall and the return with the mysterious signal core, governments and scientists alike had been troubled by unanswered questions. Humanity was shaken. Now with the signal core safely delivered to a hidden research facility, everyone wanted to know what lies beyond. A quiet laboratory and a rumbling mind inside a secure underground lab beneath New Chicago. Lena Cross worked late into the night. The room was lit only by the soft glow of computer screens and instruments. Dr. Kellen, standing close by, monitored data as the signal core pulsed gently on a workbench. Every pulse was like a heartbeat. Every flash, a silent message from far. Away. Lena stared at the core. It was small and round, about the size of a human palm, yet it radiated a steady light that swelled and diminished as if breathing. Its surface was smooth and marked with strange symbols that glowed faintly under the lab lights. It feels alive, Lena murmured. Dr. Kellen nodded slowly. It is more than just a message, Lena. I think it holds the key to knowing what is out there. They began to run tests. Simple scans revealed that the core was not made of any known Earth material. Its energy signature did not match any power source on the planet. Instead, it was pure information, a library of cosmic memories, waiting to be unlocked. The holographic vision one quiet evening, after hours of careful analysis, Lena connected the core to a specially designed holographic projector. The lab darkened, and then the core began to shine with an inner light. Suddenly, an image filled the room. Before them appeared a vast scene, a dark expanse with countless broken ships floating silently. The ships were unlike any human design. Some were sleek and silver, others bulky and ancient, their surfaces scarred by battles lost long ago. The hologram rotated slowly as if displaying a gallery of ghosts. Lena and Kellen looked at each other, breath caught in their throats. In the center of the holographic graveyard, a large alien vessel drifted. It was partly broken and partly intact. Its hull was etched with the same symbols that adorned the core. As the image grew clearer, a soft, resonant voice spoke in simple English. We built this wall to hide the chaos. We sealed the void to protect our worlds. But what lies beyond is not forgotten. The voice faded, leaving Lena and Kellen with more questions than answers. What chaos had been hidden behind the wall? Had the very act of placing the wall been a desperate measure against an even darker force? Messages from the past news of the holographic vision spread quickly among the scientific team. Dr. Zoya Malik, an expert in alien contact theories, joined the small group. The trio pored over the hologram's details for hours. In the soft hum of computer fans and quiet voices, they began to piece together an unsettling theory. Lena recalled the symbol that appeared on the core, a spiral crossed by 3 straight lines. In old archives, buried deep in historical satellite data, she found similar markings. The archives mentioned a race called the Varnuk, a mysterious group once thought to be legends. Records showed that the Varnuk had built a barrier in space long ago. Their purpose, however, was never clear. Kellen spoke in a low tone. This hologram, the signal core, it is like a window into what the Varnuk left behind. They were not alone. They worked with others to create a blockade, a filter, against an enemy they could not defeat. Dr. Malik's eyes widened as she added, there are legends of a great conflict among the stars, a time when many alien races fought together. Perhaps the wall was built as a shield, a way to protect emerging worlds like ours from the remnants of that war. The idea was frightening. Earth might have been caught in the middle of a cosmic struggle that began long before human memory. Our small world, once ignored by powerful beings, had now awakened something ancient. The signal core had been left as a warning, a call for help, or perhaps a call to arms. A dangerous expedition. News of the signal core and holographic vision caught the attention of more than just scientists. Military officials grew restless. They argued that the wall might be a threat, a trap waiting to be sprung. In private meetings, secret plans were drawn up to study the wall from a distance. But Lena and her team knew that understanding the truth required more than political maneuvering. It needed exploration. One afternoon, a decision was made. A small probe mission would be launched into the narrow crack that had appeared in the wall after the Orion Blade's return. Jacques Veron, the daring pilot who had risked everything before, volunteered to lead the mission. He would take a specially modified escape craft, a small vessel designed for deep space exploration, into the unknown. Lena, though worried, understood that this was the only way to gather further evidence of what lay beyond. "Jax, promise me you will be careful," she said as they prepared the craft. Jax flashed his trademark grin. "I promise, Lena. If there is trouble out there, I'll come back with our answers." The probes journey the next morning under a clouded sky. Jax's small craft, nicknamed the Wanderer, lifted off in a makeshift launch from a hidden airstrip. It was not as big as the Orion Blade, but it was nimble, equipped with sensors tuned to detect faint signals and debris. Inside, Jax monitored read dial and readout with focused intensity. As the probe neared the wall's delicate crack, the sensors began to pick up faint energy pulses. Jax slowed his craft. There, before him, spread a vast dark void dotted with the twisted shapes of ancient wrecked ships. The scene was eerily silent, a graveyard of star vessels floating listlessly. Like bones in a forgotten catacomb, Jax's heart pounded. He maneuvered carefully, his every move deliberate. He saw fragments of other alien designs, broken lines, twisted metal, shattered glass. Some of the ships looked as though they had once been built for grand journeys. Others bore the marks of desperate, last-minute repairs. In the distance, a cluster of beacons pulsed intermittently, as if trying to send one last signal into the emptiness. Jax recorded everything, his craft's cameras capturing the silent horror of what lay beyond. At one point, his sensors picked up a faint, rhythmic sound. It was soft, almost musical, but not meant for human ears. The sound ebbed and flowed through space, a cosmic dirge for forgotten wars and lost civilizations. After a tense hour of data collection, Jax initiated the return sequence. His probe was now loaded with new images, sensor readings, and most importantly, a freshly recorded signal that matched the pulse from the signal core back on Earth, decoding the hidden message back at the lab. Lena eagerly awaited Jax's data. The tension in the room was thick as he connected his probe's memory module to the main system. Slowly, images of the dark void scrolled on the main screen. The scientists and military observers watched in silent awe as scenes of wreckage and lost ships filled the room. A series of recordings played next. The rhythmic sound that Jax had heard was now magnified. Lena isolated the sound file and ran it through her decoding software. As the software processed the tones, a series of words emerged, very faint and interwoven with static. "We fought together. We fell apart. We built the barrier. To save the small, to save the spark." The words trembled on the screen, barely audible, but clear in meaning. The message told a story of cooperation and conflict, a time when many races fought side by side against a far greater enemy. In the struggle, alliances were broken and sacrifices made. The barrier had been built as both a shield and a prison. It had contained the remnants of an enemy so vast that even the most advanced of races had chosen containment over confrontation. Dr. Malik leaned forward. "This recording is a history lesson, a memory of a war that happened long before human time. They built the wall because they wanted to protect new worlds. They believed Earth was too young, too small to bear the weight of that old conflict." Lena frowned, piecing together the clues. "But look at these signals," she said, pointing at another readout. "There is more to this message. It's as if someone is calling out to us, warning us that something is coming." A revelation and a call to arms. As the day turned to dusk, the lab fell into a reflective silence. Lena held the signal core in her hands, her mind racing with the new information. The core was not just a message. It was a map of cosmic history, a guide to the ancient battles that had shaped the universe. And it held a grim warning. The enemy that the barrier had been built against might yet return. Dr. Kellen gathered everyone for an emergency meeting. "Our world is not alone in this fight," he began. "The evidence shows that many alien races once joined forces to build this barrier. But the enemy they fought was powerful. The core tells us that the enemy is not defeated, it is waiting. And with our signals growing stronger every day, it might be drawn to us." A hushed murmur passed among the group. The military representatives shifted in their seats, uneasy at the thought. The idea of a vast ancient enemy looming in the darkness was hard to accept. Yet the evidence was there, backed by records, recordings, and images from the probe. Lena's voice came softly. We may be small now, but our spirit, our will, and our fury are what have driven us this far. The Signal Corps shows us that we have a role to play, a role to defend not just ourselves, but the spark of life that has been guarded for eons. The atmosphere grew electric with determination. Plans were quickly drawn up to improve Earth's defenses and to decode every last bit of the Corps' message. Military assets were redeployed to monitor the weak points in the wall, and scientists worked day and night to translate more of the holographic messages hidden within the core. New clues in the darkness late one night, as rain pattered softly. On the lab's roof, Lena received a sudden alert on her console. A previously unnoticed subsignal had been detected in the probe's data. It was faint, almost lost amid the noise, but it repeated at regular intervals. She isolated the subsignal and played it back. In its rhythm, she could make out another message, one that was shorter, more urgent. Beware the silence. It is the calm before the storm. Her heart pounded as she realized that the message was not just a historical record, it was a current warning. Someone or something was still out there beyond the wall, watching and waiting. The core, the wreckage, the beacons, they were all part of a larger picture. This image of a ghostly graveyard was not a static relic of the past. It was an active call to alert any who dared listen. Jacques visited Lena at the lab the next morning. He carried with him a determination that matched her own. I've been thinking, he said quietly, that our journey does not end with these images. There's a truth out there that we have to face, and the Signal Corps is the key to unlocking it. Lena nodded. We must prepare for what lies beyond. We have seen a warning in the wreckage. We have heard messages from ages past. It tells us that the barrier was built to protect us from an enemy that never truly vanished. They looked out the window at the vast sky above New Chicago. The wall, though distant and barely visible, still loomed in the minds of all who knew. Its secret. It was a reminder that Earth's place in the universe was not secure, that forces beyond comprehension could someday come calling. The decision to act. The lab's emergency meeting resumed the next day. Military commanders, scientists, and government officials gathered in a secure conference room. Maps of the wall and readings from the probe were projected on a large screen. The room buzzed with tension as each person tried to reconcile the new findings with their own beliefs. General Marquez, a hardened military leader, spoke first. Our priority must be the safety of Earth. If this enemy, this force hidden beyond the wall, exists, then we must be ready to act. But we need more than warnings and old messages. We need a plan. Dr. Malik raised her hand. We propose to send a joint expedition beyond the wall. A small team of trusted experts, led by someone who understands the risks and has the skill to face the unknown. Lena exchanged a glance with Jacques. The idea was dangerous. The barrier was unstable, and the unknown threat could be overwhelming. But it was a chance to learn the truth, a chance to protect Earth by understanding what may come. After long debate and heavy silence, the consensus was reached. A select team would be formed. Lena, Jacques, and a few trusted colleagues would board a specially retrofitted spacecraft to venture directly into the void beyond the wall. Their mission: to gather vital intelligence, recover more relics if possible, and perhaps find a way to turn Earth's future into one of hope rather than despair. A step into darkness, the launch was set for dawn. In a remote hangar at a secret base, the team gathered around a sleek, newly modified craft named the Pathfinder. Unlike the Orion Blade, the Pathfinder was small and nimble, a vessel designed for quick, deep space reconnaissance. Lena checked her equipment once again. Jacques, clad in a flight suit that had seen many battles in space, offered a reassuring nod. As the countdown began, the team's hearts pounded with both fear and fierce determination. They knew that once they crossed the narrow opening in the wall, nothing would be certain. Yet Earth's future depended on them. The Pathfinder sliced through the thin barrier with a burst of energy, emerging into a region that seemed to belong to a different time. Before them lay an expanse of darkness dotted with wreckage. Here, the silence was deeper. Here, every particle of light seemed to carry memories of fierce battles and lost allies. The vessel approached a massive, rusted wreck that appeared to be a command ship from an ancient fleet. Its hull bore the same spiral and straight-line markings as the signal core. Lena activated the external cameras, and the images transmitted back were haunting in their clarity. Panels were torn away, and broken symbols glowed dimly as if still trying to tell their story. Jax worked the controls carefully. "We're picking up energy readings from that ship. It's not dead yet. There's some residual power. Let's take a closer look." As they edged nearer, the craft slowed to a hover. The team deployed a small probe to scan the wreck in detail. The probe's sensors found fragments of log entries, picturing battle lines, alliances between diverse alien races, and a record of a desperate stand against an enemy that was never named. The remnants showed unity among beings with different shapes and colors. A united front built to safeguard worlds like Earth. In one faded recording, the voice of an unknown captain came through. "We fought, not for victory, but for survival. Our light must continue in the dark no matter the cost." The message stirred something in Lena. It was as if the sacrifices of those long gone were urging her to stand firm. Earth's people were no longer small and alone. They carried the legacy of those who fought for life, even in hopeless darkness. A warning for the future. As the Pathfinder continued its survey, the sensors picked up an odd signal from a distant beacon. It pulsed slowly, in a rhythm that matched the beating of a heart, a slow drum of warning. The beacon was not attached to any visible ship. Instead, it floated freely in the void, like an eye watching over a battlefield. Lena recorded the signal, realizing that it might be the final piece of the puzzle. The data that streamed back was overwhelming, a vast history of battles, of hope and sacrifice, all encoded in a language that linked the present with the forgotten past. The team began to understand that the wall, the relics, and the beacons were part of an ancient network of defense. They had been built so that if an enemy as terrible as the one that once nearly erased entire civilizations were to rise, there might be a way to alert and mobilize those left behind. Back on Earth, news of the expedition ignited both fear and determination. In private sessions, world leaders and military commanders discussed the growing need to be on guard. Research labs worked around the clock to decrypt more of the holographic messages and piece together the timeline of events that had led to the construction of the barrier. Lena and her team returned to a safe zone near Earth's fragile outer wall. The Pathfinder's sensors continued to relay strange readings even after the main survey. Through careful analysis, the team discovered that the beacons were not merely distress calls. They were part of an active system. When Earth's own signals, its news, its art, its raw human emotion grow loud enough, these beacons might activate a network of defenses that had lain dormant for millennia. The implications were stark. Humanity's increased use of technology and the overflow of information were not lost on the ancient systems that guarded the galaxy. Every word, every image, every emotion conveyed in signals carried a weight that reached far beyond Earth's atmosphere. The decision that changed everything. After hours of discussion and analysis in the lab, Lena met with Dr. Kellen and Dr. Malik one last time. They sat around a large table, the hum of machinery underscoring the urgency of their conversation. Dr. Malik spoke first. "The record suggests that the wall was built not just to block harmful signals, but to filter them. It was meant to let through only those messages that would keep the ancient network alert. And now, with our civilization growing bolder, we may have awakened something that was meant to remain quiet. Kellen added, we have a choice to make. We can hide behind our own signals, shrink into silence, or we can embrace who we are and let our fury be known. The legacy of the ancient guardians and fighters is clear. They did not choose to be silent in the face of danger. They chose to fight to protect life. Lena's eyes shone with determination as she replied, we are not just a quiet, small world. We are filled with life, passion, and strength. The Signal Corps showed us the truth, that our spirit has been waiting to join a much larger history, but we must prepare. We must understand what lies beyond so that if the enemy comes, we will not be caught off guard. The meeting ended with a heavy silence. The weight of responsibility pressed upon them like a physical burden. Outside, the dark expanse beyond the wall was silent, but no longer empty. It teemed with the memories of countless sacrifices and awaited the day when it would have to be activated once more. A dark omen that night. As Lena sat alone in her small office, the soft hum of equipment filled the air. She held the Signal Corps tightly, feeling its warmth and the steady beat that matched her own heart. Suddenly, her computer screen flickered, and a new message appeared, a final piece of the warning that had been hidden in the core all along. In simple, clear words, the message read, what lies beyond will rise. Prepare to show us your fury. The text seemed to reverberate in the room. Lena felt a chill as she realized that the ancient enemies might soon emerge from the dark void. The barrier built by those who once fought together was not an end, but a pause, a quiet moment before a storm that might engulf the galaxy. Lena knew that the expedition and the data they had gathered were only the beginning. The next steps would be crucial. Humanity needed to decide whether to remain sheltered behind the safety of the wall or to rise and answer the call that had echoed through the ages. The Signal Corps was a beacon of both hope and warning. It was a reminder that Earth was part of a much larger, cosmic battle. The road forward in the days that followed. Scientists worked to create a detailed map of the region beyond the wall using the data from the Pathfinder. Every image of a broken ship, every recorded signal from the beacons, and every holographic scene from the core was carefully analyzed. Every piece of information fit together like a cosmic puzzle. Meetings were held with military leaders and international representatives. Plans were drawn up to set up monitoring stations along the fragile gap in the wall. Every effort was made to understand the ancient technology that had protected and now threatened to reclaim the quiet void. The fear of what might soon awaken was balanced by a growing pride in the human spirit. If the enemy were to come, Earth would fight back with every bit of fury and resolve that had been passed down through the ages. Lena, Jocks, and the small team were chosen as the leaders of this new effort. They were now seen as more than just curious explorers. They were the vanguard guardians who carried the legacy of those who had once fought and sacrificed so that the small spark of life could continue. In one final meeting before the world prepared for what might come next, Lena addressed the assembled scientists and military advisors. Her voice was steady, calm, and resolute. We have seen the dead voices of the past. We have listened to the echo of battles fought long ago, but we are still here. Our spirit, our anger, our hope, all these things make us strong. We will not be silent. We will not hide behind walls built by others. We will rise and meet the darkness with our light. Let our fury be the answer to the silence. Her words rang out, clear as a bell in the silent room. And though fear lingered in the hearts of many, there was also a spark of determination, a promise that if the ancient enemy dared to return, humanity would stand united and proud. A new dawn. As dawn broke over New Chicago, the first rays of sunlight broke through the darkness of night. Outside the lab, the hum of machines and the murmur of voices filled the air. The world was on the brink of a new chapter. One where old threats were reawakened and where the smallest spark of human will could ignite. A revolution among the stars. Lena looked out of her window at the rising sun. Beyond the wall, the unknown waited, but she no longer felt fear. Instead, she felt a deep connection to all those who had come before, a legacy of courage and sacrifice that now flowed through her veins. The signal core pulsed steadily on her desk, a quiet beacon of both warning and hope. In that moment, as the new day arrived, Lena silently vowed that she would do whatever it took to understand and, if necessary, to fight against whatever darkness stirred beyond the silence. The message from the past had been clear. The enemy might rise, and when it did, Earth's fury would answer the call. And so, with the promise of preparation and the strength of a united human spirit, humanity stepped forward into the unknown, the barrier that once separated them from the greater universe. Was not simply a wall, it was a passage, a challenge, and an invitation to find out what truly lay beyond. This chapter ends with a lingering question and a call to arms. The ancient voices have spoken, the warnings have been given, and humanity's next move will decide its fate in the vast cosmic arena. The countdown had started. 10 days, that's all they had, according to the vision Lena saw from the alien pod. Not a vision of hope. A warning. A shadow in space had moved. And now, Earth had its attention. Inside the underground base beneath ISLP headquarters, the alien signal pod pulsed softly, like a heartbeat trapped inside glass. Lena stood in front of it. Behind her, a team of engineers, scientists, military officers, and diplomats watched. Everyone wanted answers. This pod, Lena said slowly, was left behind by something old. Maybe someone who fought the Varnak. Maybe someone who lost. General Voss folded his arms. You said this is a signal core. What kind of signal? Not a message, she said. A memory, a key, maybe a warning. Dr. Kellen stepped forward. We don't fully understand it yet, but it's more than technology. It's biological, alive somehow. The general scowled. Can it help us fight? Lena looked up. I think it's trying to help us prepare. The room went quiet. Everyone felt the weight of her words. Prepare for what? That night, Lena returned to the lab. Only she and Kellen remained. She sat next to the pod and placed her hand on it again. The pulse changed. Faster. Warmer. Another vision hit her. This time, clearer. She saw planets. Thousands. And all of them burning. Not by war, not by bombs, but by silence. No sound. No movement. Just stillness. And then a symbol. 3 lines and a spiral. The same as the wall's shape. Then another voice. Different again. Older. Broken. We tried to warn you. We tried to fight. We were first. Lena gasped. She pulled back. Kellen rushed to her. What did you see? She wiped her eyes. Not a message, she whispered. A story. They went to the ISLP holographic chamber. Lena replayed what she saw, rendered into visual code. Everyone watched. The hologram showed a galaxy. Long ago, a civilization advanced beyond anything humanity knew. Towers that touched clouds. Ships that folded space. And then they vanished. One by one, planets darkened. Not from attack, but from something else. Infection, control, erasure. They weren't destroyed, Kellen said. They were silenced. Like us, Lena added. Then a name appeared in the data stream. Translated by the alien pod into Earth languages. Delaria, race of thinkers, dreamers, and explorers. They once sent signals across galaxies, calling out to others. They believed in peace. In connection. And then the Varnak found them. Not with guns. With silence. They built the wall, Lena said. Why? Someone asked. To contain the infection. To seal Earth off. Like a last test site. Kellen looked stunned. You mean we're an experiment? Lena shook her head. Not an experiment. A last chance. The general wasn't impressed. This is all theory. Ancient history. I need to know, are we under attack? Lena stared at him. You don't understand. The Varnuk don't attack like we expect. They don't land with troops. They don't fire missiles. Then what do? They erase civilizations by removing their voice, their will, their memory, their purpose. She pointed at the countdown, and when it hits 0, they make sure we stop fighting. Suddenly, alarms blared in the base. Emergency lights flashed. Cullen ran to a terminal. We're receiving a signal from Mars. The room froze. Mars? That colony went dark years ago. The feed opened. Static. Then a distorted image. A man's face. Pale. Thin. His eyes were wide, like he hadn't slept in years. This is Commander Rice. Mars Station Alpha. We held out. For as long as we could. Everyone leaned forward. He continued. They came through the dust. Not ships. Not people. A silence. It took minds first. Then the machines. Then us. He coughed violently. Whatever you do, don't listen. Don't trust the quiet. Don't let the countdown finish. Then, the feed cut. Silence. No one moved. Lena whispered. Mars was the test run. Back in the lab, Lena stared at the pod again. She touched it once more. This time steady. No fear. She needed answers. This time, the pod responded differently. Instead of visions, it played sounds. Echoes. Human voices, recordings from old missions. Some were famous. Others were never heard by the public, but all were intercepted. Stored inside the pod. Then, alien voices layered on top. Hundreds. Maybe thousands. Like cries. Desperate. Brave. Angry. All ending in the same thing. Silence. Then, one last voice spoke. Earth is not the first. But Earth may be the last. If you speak, speak now. If you fight, fight loud. Before the silence claims you too. Lena opened her eyes. Her heart raced. This wasn't just about survival. It was about being remembered. She stood and called Kellen. We need to broadcast. Across the wall. Across space. Loud and clear. He frowned. The wall blocks all signals. Then we don't send a signal, she said. We send a scream. They began building a device with parts from the pod, old satellites, and the Orion Blades jump core. They called it the voice engine, a machine designed not just to send a message, but to tear the wall open with raw power, frequency, emotion. Memory. Fury. They had 6 days left. Earth's leaders argued. Some wanted to hide. Some wanted to evacuate. But Lena's plan gathered support from rebels, hackers, old scientists, and even secret military groups. For the first time in history, humans weren't fighting each other. They were uniting to scream into the void. The voice engine was tested on day 5. Its first blast destroyed 3 old satellites. But it cracked the wall. Just for a second. Enough to get a whisper through. And what came back chilled everyone. A whisper. Faint, but human. I see you. Lena played it over and over. It's not alien, she said. Kellen agreed. That voice was human. Then who is it? Someone asked. Lena looked out the window at the stars. Her voice was quiet. Maybe someone who got out and is trying to come back. 6 days until 0. And something had changed. Not in space. Not in the stars, but in the people. Across Earth. The fragments of humanity stirred. In the dark corners of dead cities. People lit fires again. Old satellites turned back on. Junkyard hackers reactivated lost probes. Even in the quietest parts of the world, tribes, monks, deep ocean stations, everyone felt it. The wall was not just around Earth. It was inside them. 2. And now, the voice engine was ready. Built in just 4 days by desperate hands and brilliant minds. Using stolen alien tech. Human rage, memory, sound. It wasn't elegant. It wasn't safe. It was loud. And it was aimed at the wall. Lena stood before it. Kellen was next to her. Eyes hollow but determined. General Voss gave a final nod from the command center. This could fry half our orbitals, he warned. Lena didn't blink. Then they'll fry screaming. The countdown showed 5 days, 23 hours, 14 minutes. They activated the voice engine, and Earth shouted. A blast of sound, emotion, history, and chaos ripped outward. It tore through the sky like thunder made of memories. Every human voice ever recorded was in that scream. Every war, every song, every heartbeat from history. A billion moments, all in one surge, and for a second, just 1 second, the wall cracked again. The signal escaped, and something answered. Not a message. A map. Coordinates. Kellen's single quotes S voice shook. This came from outside the wall. Lena stared. Someone or something heard them. And now, they were showing Earth a way out, but the wall healed again. Tighter. Stronger. The next voice engine blast might not get through, and they didn't have time to build a second one. So Earth did something bold. Something human. They sent a ship. Not a warship. Not a probe, but an arc. The Orion blade was retrofitted in 48 hours. Stripped of weapons. Loaded with memories, culture, DNA samples, AI cores, and a small crew of volunteers. Lena led them. Kellen joined her. So did Commander Jules. Back from Luna Base, even General Voss sent his daughter, a quiet linguist named Mara. The mission: follow the signal. Find who remembered Earth. Find out if it was already too late. On launch day, billions watched. The Orion blade rose through the stormy sky. Clouds broke around her hull. Engines hummed with hybrid alien-human energy. She slipped past the atmosphere. And then she vanished into the coordinates. What they found on the other side changed everything. No stars. No planets. Only light. Endless white light. Soft. Silent. And then shapes. Ships. Towers. People. All made of shifting energy. Like echoes of something that once lived. Kellen's hands shook at the controls. These aren't physical. Lena whispered. They're memories. The Orion blade floated through the field of ghosts. Each structure, each being was a stored memory. A backup of things that were lost, and one of them spoke. Not with sound. With light. A humanoid form appeared on their bridge. Flickering. Familiar. It took a shape they all recognized. Lena gasped. Dr. Imani. The woman standing before them looked like Lena's old teacher, missing for 20 years. Killed in an experiment gone wrong. Except here she was still alive. Or a version of her. The being nodded. I am not her. But I carry her echoes. Kellen stepped forward. Are you the ones who sent the map? Yes. Who are you? We are the ones who remember. They led the blade to a massive station of pure light and memory. Inside were the archived minds of thousands, maybe millions of civilizations, all erased by the Varnok, but not completely lost, because someone always screamed before the end. Someone always remembered. Lena stood in silence. This place. It's a cemetery. No, the being said. A seed bank. Kellen asked the question none of them dared speak. Can we stop the Varnok? The being flickered. You cannot fight them with weapons. Then how? With voice, with memory, with resistance to silence. The Varnok fed on stillness. Not death. Not destruction. But the absence of story. Earth still had its voice. And that meant Earth still had a chance. Back on the Orion blade, the crew copied the entire archive. Every lost language, every forgotten song, every weaponized memory. And one more thing. A signal cannon. A device the ones who remember had once used. It could amplify a single human voice loud enough to shake a moon. But it had a price. Lena took it anyway. They returned to Earth. Only 2 days left. As they breached the wall on re-entry, they found the planet had changed. The sky was red with strange clouds. Lights flickered across the oceans. People were hearing things in their sleep. Whispers. Old songs in languages they never learned. The Varnok were close now. Closer than ever. And then the countdown hit: 0. The stars vanished. The sky went black and Earth went quiet, not from fear, but because something had arrived. A ship not made of matter, but of shadow, a hole in reality. Larger than the moon. It hovered above Earth. And then it began pulling, not people, but sound. Voices. Laughter. Language. Culture. Earth began to forget itself, until Lena climbed the spire of the voice engine and screamed. The signal cannon activated. One voice, hers, amplified through the network of every device on Earth. Not words, a scream of pain, fury, hope, memory. It echoed across every mountain, every city, every cave. And then the Varnock ship shuddered. Not physically, but emotionally. It had heard her, and it couldn't silence her. All across Earth, people began to remember. They shouted their names. Told their stories. Sang their songs. The wall cracked. The shadow ship rippled, and from deep space, 100 lights blinked on. The ones who remember were watching. Waiting. Lena collapsed. Her voice was gone. But Earth had found its voice again. And now it was loud. The sky was burning. But not from fire, from sound. It was everywhere now. Voices, music, screams, prayers, all rising into the dark. The Varnock had arrived, and Earth had refused to go silent. Lena lay unconscious at the heart of the voice engine, her body weak, her throat torn, but her message still echoing. She had done what no one thought possible, broken the silence. And now, Earth was fighting back. Across the planet, people who had once been strangers now stood together. They built transmitters from scraps. They sang into broken speakers. They wrote stories and sent them through old networks. Even children recorded their dreams and beamed them into space. The rules had changed. This was no longer a war of guns. It was a war of memory. A war of sound. Cullen took command in Lena's absence. He stood in the control center of ISLP, watching feeds from around the globe. Every voice counts, he said to the team. Every sound we send hurts them. General Voss nodded, grim-faced. Then we make it loud. They called it Operation Echo Storm. The plan was simple. Turn every satellite, every ship, every piece of tech into a speaker. Target the Varnock shadow ship with pure human signal. Not just noise, story, memory, emotion. They knew it wouldn't destroy the enemy, but it could drive them back, or at least prove Earth couldn't be silenced. The first echo. Storm wave began over the Pacific. Whale songs, ancient chants, radio calls from ships lost at sea. The Varnock ship trembled. Then came the next wave, music. All genres, all languages. Classical, rock, tribal drums, lullabies. The Earth shook with rhythm. The sky pulsed. The shadows above cracked. But the Varnock fought back, not with weapons. With confusion. They sent dreams, false memories. Some people woke up forgetting their names. Others saw dead relatives. A few turned violent, their minds breaking under the noise. In the ruins of Chicago, a woman painted her memories on the walls. In the mountains of Nepal, a boy whistled a song that hadn't been heard in 1,000 years. Every time, the silence pushed in, and every time, humanity pushed louder. Then Lena woke up, barely able to speak, but her mind was clear. She saw the world map, glowing with sound. She smiled weakly. It's working. But she also saw something else. In her vision, from the alien pod, she had seen the source. The place where the Varnock fed, where they stored the silence. And if Earth wanted to win, they had to go there. She called Kellen. We need to find the source. He hesitated. You can barely walk. She coughed, then grinned. Good thing we have a ship. The Orion blade was prepped for one last mission, but this time, it wasn't alone. 10 smaller ships, Earth-built and hybrid-powered, followed, crewed by volunteers, scientists, singers, poets, soldiers. Earth's memory warriors. Together, they launched into the storm above Earth. Straight into the dark. As they neared the Varnock ship, they saw it had changed. It wasn't a ship anymore. It was a shape, a cage, a library of silence. And inside it, Voices floated. Trapped. Forgotten. Some were human. Some were older. Lena opened a link to all the ships. This is it. We go in and we shout until it breaks. Kellen gripped his mic. Let's make some noise. They entered the source, and it was worse than anyone expected. No light. No time. Only stillness. Their ships moved, but nothing moved around them. Voices whispered things that weren't true. Crew members began to forget their missions, forget who they were. Then Lena did something bold. She opened the voice engine from inside. She uploaded herself, her memories, her whole life, into the system. Her first step, her first laugh, her mother's voice, Kellen's face. The first time she saw him, every joy, every pain, all of it became sound, and it burned. The source shook, cracks of light formed, ships flickered back into shape. One pilot began quoting poetry from Earth's oldest books. Another shouted her great-grandfather's name. One by one, the crews remembered, and the silence began to scream. The Varnock responded. Their true forms appeared. Massive, shifting things made of anti-light and broken sound. But they were too late. Humanity had already told its story, and it was louder than death. The source cracked. Memory exploded outward. The Varnock screamed in static. In Earth shone back home. The shadow ship above Earth shattered. Not in flames, but in echoes. Pieces of forgotten civilizations rained down. Songs, poems, art. The sky was full of sound again. Real sound, human sound. Lena's ship returned, damaged, but whole. She had lost her voice forever, but gained something more. A galaxy that now knew who Earth was. For the first time in history, humans had won a war not by killing, but by remembering. The signal war was over, but the universe had heard. Earth now. And the wall was gone. The silence was gone. For the first time in years, space felt alive again. The stars looked brighter, not because they had changed, but because Earth had. From the highest orbit to the deepest ocean, humans were speaking again, not just talking. Truly sharing memories, songs, stories, language, all flowing through satellites and minds like rivers breaking through a dam. The voice engine rested now, quiet, but its final signal was still traveling. Outward, into space. And far, far away. Someone heard it. It was not a person, not like humans. Not like the ones who remember, but it was old. Older than stars. A being made of light and thought, asleep. For thousands of years. It stirred when the screen reached it. And it listened. It heard Lena's voice, Kellen's fury, Earth's songs, and it remembered something it had lost. Hope. Back on Earth, Lena stood on the edge of the Atlantic cliffs, staring up. She couldn't speak anymore. Her voice had burned out in the signal war. But she didn't need words. The world had already heard her. Now it was time to listen back. ISLP's control center was a hive of noise again. Scientists tracked energy pulses around Earth. Engineers rebuilt ships that could travel past the wall's edge. Children recorded their dreams and uploaded them to the stars. And in the middle of it all, a strange signal appeared. Unlike the Varnock, this wasn't dark. It wasn't silence. It was a reply. A single tone, ancient, warm, repeating. A song. Maybe. Or a code. No one could translate it, but everyone felt it. Like a memory they didn't know they had. Kellen called it the Star Pulse. The team watched it move through space. It didn't come toward Earth. It went past. Deeper. Like an invitation. Lena nodded when she saw it. They had sent a message to the universe. Now the universe was answering. 3 weeks later, a ship was ready. The Aurora Reach, Earth's most advanced craft, built with tech from the ones who remember. Faster than light, stronger than war. Silent when it needed to be, but with a heart full of noise. Lena couldn't fly, but she was there to launch it. She placed her hand on the ship's hull. No words, just a message uploaded from her thoughts. We are human, We remember. We are not afraid to be heard. 5 explorers boarded, a pilot, a historian, a musician, a child, an AI. They called themselves the Echo 5. Their mission: follow the star pulse, find its source, learn what else is out there. And carry Earth's voice further than ever before. As the ship launched, millions watched. No one cheered. They just listened. Meanwhile, deep in the void, the star pulse led to something massive. Not a planet, not a station, a field full of machines made of crystal and sound. Frozen. Waiting. And at the center, a beacon, black, but humming with memory. The pulse reached it. And the machines lit up. Ancient being of light stirred again. It stretched through time and mind. And for the first time in ages, it spoke. Earth, you are late, but you are loud. It turned toward the direction of Earth. And smiled, not with a mouth, but with music. Back home, people changed. They no longer feared silence. They understood it now. Silence wasn't death. It was waiting, a space. Between songs. Between chapters. In cities, artists painted the war on walls. In the forests, old languages returned. Children played games using the Varnock name, not with fear, but pride. Try to quiet me, they shouted, laughing. Earth had not only survived, it evolved. Kellen stood at Lena's side one night. They watched the stars. A new one appeared, not real, but sent. A message from the Aurora Reach. We are not alone. And we are not the Via first, but we may be the loudest. Somewhere far away, the Varnock regrouped, weaker now, but not gone. They whispered across the void. But this time, the void whispered back. The ones who remember glowed brighter. The field of memory bloomed again. And the voice of Earth kept going. There are stories that vanish. And then, there are stories that echo forever. Earth's voice had crossed the stars. The Varnock were pushed back. The ones who remember had awakened. And the Aurora Reach was still moving into deeper space. But back home, the question remained, now what? Kellen stood at the top of the voice spire in New Geneva. Below him, streets were alive, full of people, music, light, sound. Earth felt healed, but the war had changed everything. He still woke up hearing Lena's final scream from the voice engine. He still felt the weight of silence when the stars went too quiet. Beside him, Lena sat silently, watching the sky. She couldn't speak anymore, but she didn't need words. Kellen could feel her thoughts. They were the same as his. Something was coming, and this time, Earth had to be ready. The message from the Aurora Reach had arrived 2 days ago. Encrypted. Long, strange. It took hours to decode. When they finally cracked it, it said, there are others. Many. Some silenced. Some hidden. Some waiting. They remember Earth now. And they are coming to find us. Lena smiled when she read that. Not with joy, but with purpose. Across the planet, the world united in a way it never had before. Nations formed a single voice council. Tech companies opened all research. AI. And human minds worked together. They didn't build weapons this time. They built resonance towers, libraries, made of sound. Museums that sang, satellites that told bedtime stories to the stars. Because now they understood. Noise was survival. The Varnock weren't completely destroyed, but they were afraid. Now. Not of humans, but of what humans had become, a species that could not be silenced. 1 year after the Signal War, Earth made contact with another world. Not human. Not hostile. Not broken. A species called the Sci-Fi. Tall, soft-skinned beings with voices like flutes. They had hidden in silence for centuries. Earth's scream had reached them. And given them courage. They shared their story, their loss, their technology, their promise. Your scream woke us. Your noise saved us. Now we scream with you. Others followed. The Kryll from the gas giants. The Dojin from the frozen belts. Even a lone survivor from a world completely gone. Her voice Now a song that never ends. Earth had started something bigger than a war. Earth had started a chorus. Lena became a symbol across the stars, the woman who gave up her voice to give the universe back its sound. She never spoke again, but every colony, every ship, every outpost had her story recorded and played on loop. Meanwhile, Kellen led the formation of the Echo Fleet. Ships powered by memory, story, sound. Not to invade, but to explore. To find silenced worlds and remind them who they once were. Back on Earth, a school was built at the edge of the Grand Canyon. Children were taught language, music, culture from every species that joined the Echo. No one was forced to be loud, but no one was ever told to be quiet again. Years passed, peace held, and Earth became a name spoken across galaxies. Not because of size, not because of strength, but because of voice. In the end, the Varnuk tried once more, a final shadow wave, a last attempt to mute Earth. They appeared above the moon. Silent. Massive. But Earth didn't send ships, didn't fire weapons. Instead, a single signal went out: we will not be quiet. We are not afraid of silence, but we will never live inside it again. The Varnuk listened, and then they disappeared. Not defeated. But changed. Some say they went to think, some say they were never real to begin with. Only the silence that exists when stories are forgotten. But Earth was never forgotten again. Decades later, a young girl stood in the ruins of the old voice engine. She wore a simple suit, carried a notebook. She wasn't a soldier or a pilot. She was a story keeper. She opened her journal, wrote one line, then whispered it into the canyon wind. We screamed into the dark, and the dark answered with light. Somewhere deep in space, the Aurora Reach still flies. Lena's voice is still on board. So is Earth's first song. So is the Varnuk's last whisper. And every year, it sends out one simple message: we are still here, and we are still loud. The story was never about the war. It was never about ships or weapons. It was always about this. They tried to block Earth's signals, but not our fury. And now, Earth echoes forever. The end.